Hello and welcome to the Literary Lair and to the third week of John Green Month. Well, here we go. We're halfway there and on to John Green's next book, An Abundance of Katherines. Who is Katherine and why is there such an abundance of her? Let's find out after the theme song.
Welcome to John Green Month.
The cover is actually awesome. It was designed by a nerd fighter. Sarah Turbin was the designer of the cover of this edition, as it was a contest because of all the fan covers that were being made. Penguin actually used one. It's pretty awesome, and the cover is simple but good. You have the pictures, which are all things from the book, and it seems that this is the paper that Colin wrote the Katherine equation on. Anyway, on to the story proper. The story begins with main character Colin Singleton, who is an anagram-loving 17-year-old boy who has become depressed because, though he has maintained his status of child prodigy, he has not yet become a genius. I hate people like that. I'm smart, but I'm not smart enough. Stop whining. Some people can't do high school algebra. Like Charles Tucker. And me. Sometimes. Moving on. He wishes to accomplish this goal by having a eureka moment. You know, I've actually heard that show is good. I should probably watch it. As well as not being the genius he wants to be, his girlfriend, Katherine 19. Over the span of his life, Colin has dated 19 girls, all named Katherine. All spelled in that exact manner. He doesn't like Katherine with a C, not Kathy, just Katherine with a K, who recently dumped him. In these relationships, he remembers only the Katherines dumping him, which means you're doing something wrong. Change it. But whatever. After graduating high school, and before college, Colin's best and only friend convinces him to go on a road trip with him to take his mind off of the breakup. That friend is Hassan Harbish, a funny, lazy, and obese, Judge Judy-obsessed Muslim. After driving for a while, all the way from Chicago to Tennessee, they come across the alleged resting place of the body of Archduke Franz Ferdinand, who is, the guy whose assassination started World War I. If you don't remember that, either you haven't taken high school world history, or you're just don't remember, but that's kind of a big thing, so keep that in mind. In the town called Gutshot is home to Lindsay Lee Wells, a paramedic in training. She is the tour guide for those seeing the tomb of the Archduke. After a short time, Colin and Hassan find themselves employed by Hollis, who is Lindsay's mother, and the woman running a local factory that currently produces tampon strings, or would if people were buying them. But that's still a weird factory. They live with their employer and Lindsay while they hang around the town. The employment she sends them on is to interview all current adult residents of Gutshot and assemble an oral history of the town, since the town's been around for a pretty long time and a lot of the people that have been around there from the start are getting pretty old. As time passes, Colin finds himself becoming attracted to Lindsay, though matters are somewhat complicated by her on-again, off-again boyfriend, Colin. He and Hassan call him TOC, or the other Colin. Our Colin, the prodigy, attempts to become a genius by having his eureka moment. He chases his goal through his theorem, called the Theorem of Underlying Katherine Probability, which is meant to determine the curve of any relationship based on several factors of the personalities of the two people in the relationship. It would predict the future of any two people. His theorem eventually works for all but one Katherine, Katherine 3. but it's later discovered that he had dumped that Katherine, rather than the other way around, as he believed it was. That means the graph makes perfect sense. As Colin's relationship backstory is revealed to the reader, we find out that Katherine 19 was also the first of the Katherines, Katherine the Great, which means he's only dated 18 Katherines. You know what that means? It means that Colin Singleton is a
phony! Hey, this guy's a great big phony!
While the stories of Colin's past relationships play out, Hassan gets a girlfriend, Katrina, one of Lindsay's friends. The relationship is tragically cut short when Colin and Hassan go on a feral hog hunt with Lindsay, her friends, and Colin's father, and they end up chased into the wilderness by hornets, and once they arrive back at civilization, and find Katrina having sex with the other Colin in the graveyard where the Archduke's body is. A fight between the other Colin and all of the surrounding acquaintances begins when Lindsay finds out that he's been cheating on her. While recovering from a knee whack in the groin... Knee whack in the groin? Really? Who does the other Colin think he is? Spoonie? Colin anagrams the Archduke's name to dull the pain, and realizes that it's actually Lindsay's great-grandfather, named Fred and Jizanfar, that is buried in the tomb. Wow, anagramming is actually a useful skill now. Colin finds Lindsay at her secret hideout in a cave that she's shown him previously, where she goes when she needs to think, where he tells her the story of all of the Katherines. Lindsay tells him that she feels so self-centered, claiming that she doesn't feel sad, but instead slightly relieved by the other Colin's affair. They then confess their love for each other, but when Colin applies the theorem to their relationship, it calculates that she'll dump him in 4 days. Lindsay then slips a note under his door 4 days later, stating that she cannot be his girlfriend because she's in love with Hassan. But she leaves a P.S. stating that she's kidding. Colin realizes that the theorem can't predict the future. It can only shed light on why a relationship didn't work. Despite this, Colin's content at not mattering. Hassan also tells him that he's applying for 2 college classes, which Colin has been trying to convince him to do throughout the book. The story ends with the trio driving to a nearby Wendy's, with Lindsay saying that they can just keep going and not stop. Why don't they stop? Wendy's is awesome! They have hot drinks, which I've heard can really keep you going. So they should get some to warm them up when they feel that they're slowing. Colin takes her advice, like an idiot who now doesn't have Wendy's, as a transcendental and ecstatic feeling of connection with Lindsay, Hassan, and everyone not in the car flows through him. He has finally found peace and happiness via connection with other people, rather than the pursuit of distinguishing himself from everyone, feeling non-unique in the best way possible. And that was An Abundance of Katherines. It was a fun read, and it's a great book, and it's wonderfully written. Next week, we'll take a look at Paper Towns. See you then, and DFTBA.